What's up, YouTube? Gameover86 coming back with another video, and today in this video, guys, I'm going to be explaining my opinions on what I think about the PlayStation 5 and the jump from the PlayStation 4 to the PlayStation 5, and I'm going to use the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 to be exact on how to explain what I mean with the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, and we'll go ahead and jump into that here in a second. Before I do, though, guys, I want to let you guys all know that I do appreciate all the kind words and comments that you guys have been giving to me over the last 4, 5, 6 months that I've been doing this really full time. And I want to appreciate every single one of you and acknowledge you guys for all the support. And keep it coming, guys. I want to hear from you guys as well. And if you guys have any interest in videos that you guys want me to do, video game plays or reviews, leave them down in the comments, guys. We can talk about this in the long run, and maybe your guys' suggestions can make like a top 10 video if you guys want me to do that on other retro games or new style games. Let me know down in the comments as well, because I'm here to entertain you guys as well and to bring information as well. So I just wanted to get that out. Also, if you guys haven't subscribed and you guys are new to my channel, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Help this channel grow and get to be really big so I can not only inform you guys as always, but I can reach more people out there to get the good word out. I'm tired of seeing videos out there where they don't really talk about anything and they get so many views and it's not even informative, or a lot of it's just out there to be negative or publicity or a cheap gimmick just to get a quick paycheck. And I want to be here for the long run. I want to talk about video games with you guys for the future, and I want to also give you guys some opinions of mine, and I want to give you guys some thoughts that some people just don't talk about or don't explain about video games in the future and beyond, honestly, kind of like Buzz Lightyear. So without further ado, guys, I want to go ahead and get into it. So let's go ahead and do this. And right now, the first things that I want to talk about are, I'm going to use the PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation 3 as a good example. Everybody remembers when the PlayStation 2 came out. Everybody remembers when that console dropped, I believe. And if you haven't remember, if you weren't born around then, or if you're young and you're watching this channel, it did come out in 2000, and it had a DVD player, and this was really the main key of why they sold over 155 million units, because the DVD player built into it was a lot cheaper than just the DVD players that were out at that time. And for $299, it was a great deal to be, jumping into the games, console market if you weren't already. And the biggest thing that I think why a lot of fans are predicting, how is it going to look with the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 3, or PlayStation 4, excuse me, is it's not going to be as big as a jump as it was from right here, the PlayStation 2 to the PlayStation 3. Graphics were just way different back in the day. I mean, you were talking from the DVD kind of era. Some of it was 720p, some of it was like 4080i, excuse me, with the PlayStation 2, but a lot of it from the PlayStation 3 was 720p and 1080p, and it was a big jump. And they introduced a thing that was up and coming with Blu-ray. And for you guys that don't know what Blu-ray or that whole spiel, why the PlayStation 3 was still overpriced, but a lot of people did buy it, were Blu-ray players. It was kind of like the DVD. The Blu-ray players were very expensive. They were almost $1,000, so $600 for a 60 gig or $499 for a 20 gig was, to me, it was an overpriced thing, but I loved PlayStation enough from PlayStation 2 that I bought it day one, and I got that one game, Resistance Fall of Man, which I think Insomniac did a great job, and they need to bring that game back. Hopefully with the PlayStation 5, we see Resistance Fall of Man 4, or Resistance 4, whatever you want to call it. That would be cool. That would be be cool to have it remastered and brought to the PlayStation 4. I mean, I would love to play that game, but they're doing right now a lot of great work on Spider-Man. So that's for another video. I know I'm rambling. Let me digress back to what I'm saying. The Blu-ray outsold, and it came with the unit. Unlike the Xbox 360, it didn't even come with an HDMI port for it. It came didn't even have Wi-Fi built into it. And it didn't even have a Blu-ray or DVD player. It actually had, you had to buy it separate, which was like $180, and it was called an HD DVD player. And which, if you do the math, they were $400, and you add that in with tax, you were almost buying a PlayStation 3 at the time. Anyway, just to kind of give you a little bit of news about it. And that, the porn industry bought into Blu-ray because you could put 25 gig on each side of the disc, therefore 50 gig, even though games that came out for the PlayStation 3 never really fully utilized all that gig potential. So that was kind of the thing, and it was hard to develop for. But when you went from the PlayStation 2 to the PlayStation 3, guys, let me tell you, there were games that were insane. Like I just said, I talked about Resistance: Fall of Man. It was really awesome, and it was groundbreaking from the graphics jump. And I don't think we're going to see that jump from the PlayStation 4 to the PlayStation 5 just because of how graphics and gaming GPUs and graphics cards and all that stuff are coming about. Back in the day, it was more of a jump. Like I said, from the PlayStation 2 to the PlayStation 3, everybody experienced graphics differently, and just some games that I'm going to post up here, they were hard to develop for the PlayStation 3. The stuff on the PlayStation 3 was just hard to use a lot of power and to use a lot of resources to make that backwards compat to the PlayStation 4. So a lot of people that don't understand, I'm explaining now, that's why a lot of the backwards compat ain't even on the PlayStation 3, or excuse me, the PlayStation 4, because they took out that piece that made it so expensive in the PlayStation 3 that did backwards compat for the PlayStation 2, because they were losing money on the system at first. So they took that out and just made it without backwards compat. Not to mention that chip was always running, which therefore overheated the motherboard, and that was the reason why the FATs on the PS3s, the very first edition releases, they burn up, and you had the motherboard and that little yellow light flicker and beep. And I had that problem happen to me, and I had to move to the Slim. But to go back to what I'm getting to is the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5. I don't believe that there's going to be a huge graphic jump per se. And now I may be a little bit wrong, but the thing I am going to say that may be a little bit different than some people, and when you talk about graphics and you talk about graphics cards and whatnot with the PlayStation 4 Pro, or even the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One and the Xbox One X. Now, there's a big enough jump there that you could pretty much call it a generational jump because of how far the teraflops and everything and the power with the RAM and all that stuff have moved from the Xbox. But when you look at the PlayStation side, it wasn't a big enough jump to where you feel like, okay, it's going to be so massively big that we're not going to know what's the difference or how big these graphics cards, because they're going to be using, I think, an AMD Ryzen or Ryzen, whatever you want to call it. Ryzen, I think, is called. And a lot of people know that them are the second or third best graphics cards compared to the NVIDIA graphics cards right now. And I know to keep it at a console price of $400, you know, you're going to have to not put in that big of teraflops. I don't believe it's going to go over, I think it'll be 8 to 10 teraflops in the PS5. And I believe that the graphics from 4, you'll see a little bit difference, but you won't see like the crazy amount. And I don't even believe it may even go to 10. My guess is it's going to be 8 teraflops in the PlayStation 5. That's just my opinion, and I think they're going to not even have a solid state drive, hard drive in it. They're going to go more like they've been doing just to keep the price down. But as far as another piece that they may come up with in the next year or two, they may be able to have a piece that is making it easier to go backwards compat. I do believe that they will go backwards compat in the PlayStation 5, and that's for a different video for a different time. But the reason why I was bringing that up, because the PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation 3 jump, it was so big and so dramatic. The graphic comparison was night and day because of not only going from AV cables to HDMI, but from going from 4080, you know, a lot of people that didn't experience that, to 720 or 1080p. It was a big jump, and it was a big difference. And the power that the PlayStation 3 had compared to the PlayStation 2 was night and day. Not only that, you could just tell. It was one of them things that, you know, when you went from the Super NES to the Nintendo 64, or if you went from the, the PlayStation 1 to the PlayStation 2, there were them jumps. And we're not really going to probably see that anymore in the future because of how close GPUs and CPUs are right now, especially with PC to the console market. You see that Xboxes and PlayStations are all trying to compete, and they're all trying to get to be the best graphical powered engine, whatever they want. But when you look at it over the top, they can't go over the top like you can in a PC, because it would just cost too much for them to market and to sell. So if you ask me, PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5, I honestly don't believe that the graphics are going to be too huge. Now, the biggest thing that the reason why I don't believe it's going to be too big, not only just the price, but if you look at it, when it comes down to graphics, is it really worth it And that's where this is where I'm different than a lot of YouTubers. I think, honestly, it's not worth it. I think anything that sells your hardware, you could have a shitty console and have great games, and you're going to sell your console. And that's just been proven over the years, over the last 2-3 decades, that if you have great games with a console that's not really that high-powered or performance-wise, you're still going to sell. And that's been proven with the PlayStation 4 compared to the Xbox One X. You can compare it to the Nintendo 64. It didn't really sell from a big-time marketing standpoint, but if you think about it, it was less powerful than the Sega Saturn, but the games on the Nintendo 64 were way better, in my opinion, than the Sega Saturn. Now, the PlayStation, that's why they sold. I mean, it wasn't a big-time powerhouse. I mean, it was great at the time, but it just had a lot of great games on it. And a lot of people forget that that's what normally sells the console, unless you're innovative, like the Wii, which was an anomaly, in my opinion. I think the Wii was great, but it was just so new, everybody just wanted to try it. And it wasn't expensive compared to the 360 and the PS3 at the time, so I think that actually helped their sales. But to get back to the PlayStation 4 to the PlayStation 5, in my opinion, I think the biggest thing with graphics nowadays is going to be minor detailed, like we see with the NVIDIA, the new 2080s, 2080i or whatever you want to call them, RTXs I think they're called, you know, where you see retracing, where you can see like the stuff off the floor of the fire, or you see the guns, explosions from the cannons and the tanks. That's pretty cool, but that's the thing. I've always said this in all my videos. Consoles dummy down the graphics and put locks on them to where it's easier for a developer to just develop for that, and they don't have to worry about changing a bunch of stuff. They get handed the product, and then they like, okay, this is easy, I can develop. Sometimes it's hard and annoying and confusing, like the Saturn was and like the PlayStation 3 was to a lot of developers. But when you look at PS4 to PS5, the only thing I see different is maybe in a couple of years, maybe they figure out something that maybe makes the stuff run easier to actually transfer PS3 games over to the PlayStation 5, maybe for backwards compat. And I'll get into a little bit more of that on the Friday video, guys, so make sure you tune into that. I just wanted to go over a little bit about what I think graphically power difference between PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 was. Like I said, this video was just trying to compare. There's not going to be, in my opinion, a big gap where we're going to be like, this is amazing. The things that I'm looking at really is going to be better. Obviously, the hard drive's probably going to be bigger, 2 terabyte or more. The overall processing power is going to be obviously better and quicker than the PlayStation 4. I do believe that they're going to have, obviously, a little bit better detailed games, look a lot greater. I think, like, to use an example, God of War, Spider-Man, you know, the new games that are upcoming that haven't been released yet. I think a lot of them games are going to be how the games look on the PlayStation 5 going forward, and even better. But to use them as an example, and for the future, we're talking, you know, all the other games that have been released. Some of them you can see that they really didn't put a lot of power into it. Games were still fun to an extent, but you're really seeing what it takes and how long it takes to develop some of these games that are just insanely beautiful and detailed. And that's what I was trying to explain, is it takes time for these games, and the biggest thing I want to see PlayStation 5 have into it that maybe makes it easier to do backwards compat, and not only for the PlayStation 4, but for the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 2 and 1, which we know they can do them easily, but the PlayStation 3 in particular, if they could literally take something or find something to develop that makes it easier to emulate or even run or transfer over, that's something that we still haven't found out yet. A lot of people right now know that the PlayStation 4 can't do it, and you know, software and hardware and all this stuff does change in months. I mean, the computer, you buy a computer 3 months later, it's out of date sometimes. So we can't say technically that we can't backwards compat these, or we can't do any of these things with the PS3, because I believe with software and hardware, it's going to change. And the PlayStation 5 may bring that back. And how cool would that be? In my opinion, it would be awesome to have all backwards compat from PlayStation 4, so you can still sell PlayStation 4s. So you don't feel like people that bought a PlayStation 4 like 3-4 months before the PlayStation 5 releases, they don't feel burned because they're like, oh, you know, PlayStation 5 just came out. So in that way, they can still sell PlayStation 4 games as well on the PlayStation 5 if you want to play backwards compat, and that can roll people over from the PlayStation 4 to the PlayStation 5, and I think that would be a no-brainer if they can at least do the PlayStation 4. But who's to say that they can't figure out something to bring the PlayStation 3 games over? That would be kind of cool. I know it's hard right now, but 2 years from now, it may be a lot easier to all of us to understand, and maybe Sony will find a way to make it a little bit better. And I know their processing system's completely different on the PS3 to the PS4, so people that are leaving me down in the comments, I understand perfectly fine. I'm just saying there could be some kind of software that they could find the next 2 years that could easily make it transferable from the PlayStation 3 to the PlayStation 4. Because let's face it, or the PlayStation 5. Because let's face it, they have brought some games over from the PlayStation 3 and just remastered them. So it can be done. A lot of the games that were on the PlayStation 3 have been to the PS4. So it's not like it can't be done. It can be done. So before anybody really says down in the comments, well, you know, it's really hard to do and all that backwards compatible or emulating and all that stuff. Yes, it is, but they can do it. I'm just saying they need to find a better way to where they're not having to make the console so expensive, that being the PlayStation 5. I want to know, though, down in the comments, guys, what you guys think about this. Do you guys believe that there's going to be a big graphical jump in power? And if so, what do you guys think will really change in it? Do you think the teraflop power will be better? Do you think the CPU will be better? Do you think the GPU will be better? I know that a lot of people have heard rumors and stuff about what the processor is going to be and all that stuff, and what the power and the RAM's all going to be, but that's just hearsay right now. We're not fully on, like, we know that it's going to possibly be an AMD GPU, but everything else is still up in the air in my opinion. I don't always go by what people say, especially on YouTube where they say they have an inside source. To me, I don't have any inside source. I'm just going by just history of playing games and understanding consoles and PCs. Like, that's just how it is, you know. They surprise you, they shock you, and that's what I want to do. I want to give you guys some thoughts to think about. So like I said, let me know what you guys think on the graphical power. Some of you guys may think the same way I think. It's not going to be a big jump. I think they're going to work more towards PlayStation VR. You know, the controllers may stay the same, but take out that thing that's draining the battery, maybe update the battery, make backwards compatible. I mean, I want to know what you guys think, and stay tuned for Friday, guys. Stay tuned, because I'm going to be talking about what I believe why the PlayStation 5 will not have digital only, and I'll explain that in a little bit better detail, and I'll go over that, guys, for Friday. So stay tuned to that. And like I said, if you're new to this video and you guys want to watch more on podcast discussions, reviews, games, stuff like that, where I give you guys opinions and my thoughts on upcoming gaming, all gaming, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell notification. Even the people that are subscribed to me, if you haven't hit the bell, because that does give you guys an update on it. I know a lot of people that don't watch my videos every single time aren't going to get notified, but the ones that do, that already hit the bell, it's always going to pop up in your feed. And always remember, guys, leave me a comment down below. I read everybody's comment, and if I can't get back to you, I am sorry, but I do read your comments. So don't think that I'm not reading your comments. And if I do get back to you, make sure that you guys always stay true, stay safe, take care of one another, leave a like, share if you would like as well. I'll leave my Twitter down below as always, guys, if you want to follow me there to get some maybe inside news about stuff that's going on in my life, not only personally, but in the gaming world. Well, follow me there as well if you want. If not, you can just come back here and check out my YouTube videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I do appreciate your guys' time spending watching this video and spending time to get to know me. I want to get to know you guys too. So make sure you guys do keep that comment section busy. Make sure you guys share this video. Make sure you guys like, and I'll see you guys Friday on the next video. Enjoy the rest of your guys' week, because that's what it's about, baby. Have fun with games, and I'll see you guys later. Gameover86 is out. Peace.